all rust. That's a bummer and a bit of a setback. Hey all, welcome back. We're working on the DC2 today. This is the first time I've touched it since buying it. Sorry about my voice. I've been sick the past few days. 100% lost my voice a couple days ago. So first things first, I've got to change the alternator on this. I bought one and I think it had a 2-week window for turnaround for the core. So I got to change this because I got about 1 day left. So yeah, let's get into it. So one thing the seller did say was that the alternator was bad. So I just took his word for it, ordered a new one. It is down there. And my first time working on a B series, kind of first time working on a Honda in general. I gotta figure out, it seems like it's gotta drop out from the bottom. Cause I don't think it's not coming through here. Maybe I take the strut bar off, or if it sneaks out through the battery area. That guy down there, we gotta get him out. At least I wasn't crazy for jacking it up, because there is lower alternator bolt right there. But at least I can get to that easy now. The top bolt is just right through there. So maybe I'll take off this thing perhaps and maybe get my hand down in there. I can slip right through in this gap. Let's get some lube. I'm sure my wrenches didn't like it, but I gave it the old foot breaker bar and got her loose. The pivot bolt for the lower mount, I feel like that should be sliding through, but I think it's probably seized in there maybe. This was not a priority, but that earthing spark kit, whatever that is, ground setup, it's going bye-bye. It's just an easy win to clear up a little less spaghetti right here to get my hand down in there. So, hot inazama, sayonara. One down. One to go. I wonder if this one's actually needed for an engine ground. I wonder if they were having issues at some point. I'll put him back on there for now. If anybody wants some super JDM grounding kit, hit up your boy. After much finagling and crawling farther under the car, where you actually have better access to it, I got the electrical clips off and the lower pivot bolt. And as you can see, nice and shiny. I thought it was seized in there, but I just had to get a little leverage on it. It slid right out. I just gotta do the top 12 mil nut that's right there, and then hopefully the thing will just drop out from the backside. So we're back out here, day number 2, battling the DC2's alternator, and maybe this is DC2 problems, but door handle on the driver door does not work from the outside. The voice is still hoarse. Got some JDM cough drops right there. Reminiscent of like Halls, kind of. Not too bad. I checked Yahoo for the date when I bought the alternator. The door's still not popping. And, oh, got it. It was, I received the alternator on November 11th. So that gives me until the 20th. I've got 2 more days to get this alternator out. But here's the real thing. Maybe my Nissan dudes will appreciate this, but Honda guys might be like, yeah, that's normal. Apparently, at least on the stateside DC2s, because this is basically like a GSR, people are either pulling the intake manifold to get the alternator out, or pulling drive shafts to get the alternator out, because there's no access like slot to get the alternator to drop away from the block and come out from the car. Like mine is loose, but it's trapped in there. First things first, I've got to decide how we're doing this. The US versions, you know, your brake booster and steering, or your brake stuff is over here. I don't have that, but I got this battery box here, which is kind of hosing me on that route. I don't want to pull the intake because I feel like a bunch of other like brittle stuff is gonna break if I do that. I don't want to pull the drive shaft because a bunch of brittle stuff is gonna break if I do that. I just don't want to cause more problems right now, but I just don't want to get into quasi major repair stuff just to switch in alternators. I don't really know how it's gonna go, but let's get into it and see what we can figure out. So it looks like maybe if I move this power steering line, maybe I have to get this out so I can swing it up and out of the way enough. If I can get these hoses out of the way, disconnect the fuel line here coming off the regulator, some of this wiring stuff here. It looks like this pocket might be big enough to weasel it down and through, so that's what I'm gonna try. I was really afraid of breaking connector clips on the injectors because I just unplugged all the injectors, and they're still strong as heck, not fried, not brittle, nothing. I'm used to like coil pack harnesses just going and breaking on SRs, so good job, Honda. Victory is mine. It could not go like 1/4 inch either direction. Like it had to come straight through in this, tabbed funky shape. It just weaseled straight up and out of there. We got the new unit here. Hopefully it looks to be the same deal, which it does. Got the big fat mounter angled on the top mount, case on the back, the cable, plug, cable and plug, yeah, good to go. When you order parts here, they go by your title. They take 4 numbers off of your title, punch it into their database, and you get like exactly what you want or what you need. You don't, call up like you do in America and you're like, hey, I got a 98 Acura Integra GSR and I need an alternator. There's none of this like, is it 4-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive? Is it an LX, a CX? None of that stuff. You just give them the numbers and you get what you need. There we go, look at that. You guys see that? It is literally touching on all sides. 4 points. It fits the shape perfect. Well, she's down there. Now I just gotta set her on home and get her in the bracket and then rehook everything up. Feel good about that. Just disconnecting some electrical nonsense and hoses and get the space you need. Well, I think here's the point I get defeated today. This is the lower mounting point for the alternator, and you can see that's the steel like insert bushing that's in there. And I think what's happened is that has slid over a little bit, as they do when you tighten them down on the alternator. So if I can get that to come back out a little bit, then the alternator will slide into place. And if I could come up with some sort of like press type bolt set up in there to push it back a little bit, I mean just a hair, then I can drop this in there. So here's my impromptu press setup thing. I got my big socket on the outside, small socket on the inside acting as spacers. The big socket lets that bushing slide into it as I tighten it. And then I found a bolt. This was the magical piece. I found a bolt in the car, and up until now I've been like, man, I'm gonna have to buy an AC pump. But then I was like, well shoot, I don't have the bolts for my AC pump, so I gotta try and find whatever bolts it takes to bolt up an AC unit, because Japan summertime and all that stuff. Anyway, AC is pretty nice until it's like full on race car. In my glove box there was 4 bolts, and those I think are the AC pump bolts. So the universe provides. You can see the bushing there. It's right, it's the, that pinched right there. That's the steel insert in the cast bracket. I think it's done enough. All right, so alternator now, oh man, slides in there. And when I tighten down the bolt on the lower mount, it's just going to push that steel insert right back over and make it tight, and we'll be good to go. So even if it's a little loose right now, that's no worries at all. So that is amazing. And the next thing I was stressing about was I didn't want to damage any of my hardware, because I need that for my future AC pump, and I need that to mount my alternator. So good shape. That's awesome. All right, got it back together. Everything fell back into place, clipped into place, did as it should, bolted down. So easy peasy, nothing to record or say, but it should be ready to start, at least, test run. I haven't checked the spark plugs and fuel filter, and I know gas is junk, blah, blah, blah. But I'm kind of out of time for today, and the dipstick comes up dry. We'll get some oil in it next time and give it a start. A few days later and we're back, and my voice is much better. I got medicine, antibiotics, knocked this stuff out, so doing much better. Thanks for asking. Anyway, the goal for today is to get this oil changed and then maybe start it. I feel better if there's at least fresh oil and I guess at least any oil in it, because apparently it's super low. Let's get the oil changed. Let's see if anything comes out. Oh man, that is black. Luckily there's oil in there. It must have just been just off the dipstick. But good grief, it looks like diesel. It looks like diesel oil. Yuck. The gas is super old in there. And it smells like, I don't know, like turpentine or whatever, you know, bad gas. The oil really smells like that. I don't know if there's a stuck injector and it's leaking, but I mean, it's oily still. We'll put some fresh stuff in and see what happens, but that's really rich of bad fuel. It's still streaming out a few minutes later, so at least there was more oil in there than I thought there was. That makes me feel good. Got the kids out here today. Where's my dude? There he is back there. Got the cheapest of the cheap, just straight up motor oil, 530, no brand, just to run through it and kind of clean stuff out. Got the old First Grid oil filter coming off and the new Pia oil filter element going back on. And Pia, these filters are just like hardware store filters, but Pia brand, which is kind of cool. I'm curious if there's as much drama around oil filter selection in Japan as there is in America, like Wix versus Fram or what have you. I love how on this car there's like constant reminders that it's not an Integra Type R. P73 castings or marks is for Type R stuff, and P72 is for like GSR or SIRG or non-Type R B18 stuff. You guys can correct me if you know more, but anyway, the oil pan even. P72 oil pan. Capacity wise, this 4-liter can should be exactly what the engine takes, with filter that is. So let's get it in there. Before I start it, in the name of playing it safe, I do want to check the fuel tank. It's been sitting so long, the gas in there smells terrible. I don't know, I'm kind of paranoid that it's all rusted out inside there. I really hope it's okay. If it is okay, then big win all around. Just before I pump a whole bunch of junk through the engine, I just want to see what's going on in the fuel tank. So I think I need to empty out the hatch of all this junk, and then I'll have access to the fuel tank. So let's get to it. All right, back emptied out-ish, and I'm gonna guess underneath that cover plate there is the fuel pump access. It's a little crossbar cover off, the covered just wiring, and then the little access cover's off, and then this was all bone dry. I just sprayed some oil spray on there to, I don't know, lube things up a little bit, but the bolts broke free, not rusty or anything. Get those out, and hopefully we'll be able to see down in the tank. God, I'd love to just put some fresh gas in this thing and go, but we'll see. Oh, that's exactly what I expected. Look at that rust. Ay. Hanger is completely rusted. All right, I gotta put the camera down and figure this out. Okay, so I need to get a flashlight to get a good look down there. This guy is yuck. Plenty of rust on it. I don't know if I just buy another one or what. I need to Yahoo that, see what availability is. And then this gasket up here, completely cracked out and shot. I'm hoping this is a currently available part. You would think so, because it seems like a safety wear item. I don't have good light to get a good shot in there with the camera, but you will be able to hear it. So listen to this. Hear that crunchy sound? I think that's just smashing rust in the bottom of the tank. The screwdriver is touching the bottom of the tank. That's a bummer and a bit of a setback. I don't want to start it. There's a ton of loose stuff in there and it's just gonna flow and pump straight into everything. I guess what I pulled out was just the sending unit for the fuel level. That means the fuel pump access is probably somewhere else. Maybe it's the other wiring going underneath the back seat. If I can find a larger access port where I can get my hand in there and maybe somehow clean it out or just get a better idea, I'll do that. Anyway, right now, big bummer. Alright, so everything on this car is an exploratory mission. I'm trying to get in the back seat now because I think that's where the fuel pump access cover is, underneath the back seat. So I got 2 fixed buckets, which make it a pain in the butt to get back there, but I just undid the bolts, or took the bolts out of the rear mount and loosened the front ones, and now I have a semi-reclining or whatever tilting seat. But check this out. Let's say you get to the track and you're DC2 and you're like, oh man, I gotta shed some weight, get the kids out of the car, no big deal. See that? Let's see if I can get it with this hand, one-handed. You just push over one way or the other. Oh man, it's there. Look at that. Sorry, there's probably terrible camera work, but it's just a peg and a hole over there, and this little peg and a hole in the seat, and you just pop it out. Wow, really snaked in there. All right, lowers out. There we go. We got an access cover there. Bonus, somebody stripped the sound deadening from under the back seats. Good job, guys. A little bit of oil spray on the hose, or the hard line. Let it soak under the rubber, and that is your friend.
Rubber?
This is a quick disconnect fitting here, and it seems like it's disconnected, but it's not pulling off of the hard line, so that's a little bit mystery. Google says, actually teamintegra.net says this should just slide right off there. And I don't know how or what, if there's somehow this plastic is corroded, stuck on the hard line portion, but this baby does not want to separate. Yeah, somehow, I think it was corroded on the pipe or something. Oh, look at that. That's what we're dealing with. Everything is just covered in there. Just all rust. You can see all the loose sediment down. Oh, there we go. It's pretty good. It's on, on the edge there. There you go. You can see it. And down there in the bottom, it's all floating down there. Spoiler alert, that should be a nice kind of like shiny, galvanized looking metal color. Not like a sandbox with water in it. There we go. Ugh, look at that stuff in there. So, bad news bears. I don't think I bought a lemon yet. I just have a lot more to fix than I thought I was going to have to fix. Everything I touch is just that surface flaky, yucky rust like that. So, best bet, probably just gonna be source a new tank. I guess we have maybe our thumbnail for the video. Gosh, that's a bummer. Had a little suspicion that it might be bad, but I was really fingers crossed and hopefully it was good. I'll insert the clip of it starting when I first bought it. You can see it started up right away, ran smooth, even with that real garbage oil in there. And this rusty situation of fuel coming through, it was like just turpentine fuel at this point. It still fired up right away, ran smooth. So if we get it happy, I think it's going to be really happy if we can freshen up all these little systems. But right now, I think we just got to find a new tank. So I'm going to probably cut this video here. I got a bigger shopping list of finding these various cover, seals, gaskets, or whatever, a new fuel pump, sock, fuel tank, maybe some hoses, blah. That's a wrap for progress on the DC2 today. Honda's, the DC2, everything. This is all new to me, so anyone has like advice of any sort, if you want to put that down below and help a guy out, I'm all ears for everything. Any input, any help in the comments below is a big help to me. As always, like, comment, subscribe, mainly, share it to somebody else. Sharing is probably the most powerful thing. If you like it, try to make a comment below, help a guy out, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Much love, be well, peace.